I wanted to show some functionality that's built into 2020 that's really unrelated to CWP, but that's things that I see all the time. And I'm using version 13. I can't say for sure exactly what it's going to look like in 11, 10, 9, 12, but I am a big fan of this NKBA tab. So do you guys ever get frustrated with all these dimension lines on your floor plans? Like it looks unprofessional, for lack of a better word. All those dimensions are very confusing. To me, anyway. And then because you guys send floor plans and elevations to us, it could be very confusing to us to take this information in. So in the old days, you could create your own scheme to kind of clean this up. But for a quick way to clean up your floor plans, and if you were ever frustrated with this, in version 13 anyway, I discovered that this NKBA tab, it really cleans up dimensions. And it gives us center lines, which is something that's really important to custom wood products. Because of the way we gang build our cabinets, it's important for us to know where the center line of a sink is, because we're going to create an opening for that sink, and then we're kind of building the cabinets out from there. So center lines are hugely important to us. And just from a clean rendering capability where you're talking to your clients, this NKBA tab, I think, is something that I would inspire you guys to get to know a little bit better. Also, I just wanted to make you aware of, and this is maybe a basic, and I think on this call we could have people that have been using 2020 for 30 or 40 years, and we might have some people on this call that are just getting to know 2020. They're new to 2020. So there are preferences built into 2020. They're out of the box. All those preferences might not be exactly what you want, and you can tailor your own preferences in 2020. So I wanted to just take a quick minute to go through some of those preferences. Let me cancel this again. So when you log into 2020, you go into File, Preferences. There's all kinds of fun stuff in here, but I'm just going to go right down to Preferences. And a lot of this is intended to make it quicker for you to navigate 2020. So catalogs. If you have favorite catalogs, and you're on this call, so CWP is obviously your favorite catalog. But if you have favorite catalogs, I have the benefit of only having to work with 2020, but you're going to have other brands. I just want to make you aware that when you load up, especially when you load up a new catalog, a catalog update, it's going to drop to the bottom, meaning that every time you go to your browser, you're going to have to go pick that catalog. If you have a common catalog that you use, just be aware. See these little arrow bars? You can pick the catalog you want. Doesn't matter here, it's generic room sample. And I can move that towards the top. Now, I don't use generic room sample. I don't even know if I ever use it, but I can move that to the top. And then by clicking this arrow button, if I'm clicked on it, I can make that the preferred catalog that's going to pop up as #1 in my local browser all the time. So if you do have a brand that you prefer or something that you prefer, that's a quick way to it's less clicking, less time looking for catalogs. So again, that is in your catalogs, and then you can just sort them. And then it'll appear, that'll be the first thing that'll appear. One other thing that I like to change, again, this is basics. I prefer a very clean floor plan. So I deselect 3D shapes on my floor plan, and I select 3D shapes on my elevations. You may have your own preferences, but if I deselect them and I apply, I get a really nice clean floor plan. But I'm going to tell you my elevation, my elevation looks a little, it's less defined. So a quick way again to change that experience is in work area. So if I did 3D shapes of my floor plan gets a little more harder to kind of look at, but my elevation, again, if I apply just to my elevation, I get those door profiles that appear. And I think that's a more appealing experience. So I have this dummy kitchen in here, and I kind of just wanted to talk through a couple of things that are in here, and maybe I'll just place some cabinets. So feedback that I get from you guys is that I really don't know how to find things in your catalog. So I'm going to just point out some common cabinets that might appear in other manufacturers' catalogs that aren't in my 2020 catalog. If you were to open my manufacturer's catalog, our catalog was built with a cabinet, and then there's a section for enhancing that cabinet. Either you're going to put paneled ends on it, or you're going to modify that cabinet with a wide top rail, or any of those enhancements to the face frame of that cabinet. And then I have accessories that you can build into that cabinet. That's my catalog: cabinets, enhancements, and accessories. Our 2020 catalog was built the exact same way. So if you place a base cabinet, if you go looking for a base microwave cabinet, there's no base microwave cabinet in our catalog. Our catalog is going to have a base cabinet. Let me get into my catalog here. Our catalog's going to have a base cabinet, and then you're going to enhance that base cabinet. So understanding the CWP product catalog is definitely beneficial when you're designing in 2020, and hopefully that makes sense. So now I have, in this design, let's just, I have a 30-inch cabinet in here. So here's a hypothetical island. The customer wants to, this is going to be a sharp microwave drawer in their island. If you go looking in the catalog, you're not going to see a sharp microwave drawer or any kind of microwave base cabinet. This is what you're going to need to do. Place a BC. I'm going to leave it in here as 30, although it might be a 27 if you're going to do a microwave. Doesn't matter. This is the demo. I'm going to grab that cabinet, and I'm going to go into attributes. The attributes dialog box pops up, and I'm going to go into add-ons. In this case, it's a configuration modification. I'm reconfiguring that cabinet. And in my product catalog, if you open up our product catalog in the enhancement section, in order to put a microwave in, we simply call it an unfinished opening. So this mimics our product catalog. And then in here, we asked 2020 to put a basic microwave in there. Microwave, there's a spell check, please. And we have it for a microwave with drawer. Now there's no charge to perform this modification at CWP. So for us, it's just a shape that 2020 is building for us. And I'm just going to apply. It's going to ask me, it's actually asked me, what's the height of that opening? I'm just going to say 15 for now. And I'm going to apply. And that's how you make a microwave cabinet. It's It's a couple of extra clicks. This particular kitchen also has a style to floor enhancement for the island, which again is a no charge enhancement. And that would have been in face frame modifications, by the way, if you're curious. But I think that's a nice way to do an island, and it will show on the island. But most of our catalog is built under this same theory of place the cabinet, go to add-ons, and perform the enhancement. Here's another one, another favorite. Let's go into this sink base attributes. This one's got, let's just pretend for a minute that this is going to get a farm sink. Again, if you're looking for a base apron front cabinet in my catalog, it's not in my catalog. So you're not going to find it in 2020. It's an add-on enhancement. I'm going to actually, let's pretend it's going to be a farm sink. I'm going to take this sink and I'm going to remove this sink. So now I got my cabinet. If I want to make that a farm sink, I'm going to go back into add-ons. And I'm going to go, again, I think it's a configuration modification. I'm not exactly sure. Sink cooktop base option. And it's a farm sink prep. And it's saying, all right, it's giving me some dimensions. I'm just going to, I don't know the sink right now. I'm just going to try and show a customer a picture. I could fill that out if I want. But there it is. Now you're like, all right, where's my sink? So I'm in this, while I'm here, I'm going to move out of the CWP catalog for 1 second. I don't really have a vendor catalog teed up. So I'm just going to go down here to this plumbing catalog. And I'm going to look at, there I have sinks, more sinks, farm sink. And here's a single here. This is about close enough. There's my farm sink. I can apply that. And that's how you would make a farm sink for that. And so on and so forth. So everything that you would do would be an enhancement. So let's pretend I'm in this drawing. And I have this 30-30 wall cabinet, this 33-inch wide wall cabinet. In our product catalog, we price by the inch. But for 2020, they go by 3-inch increments. We don't think in terms of 3-inch increments internally, but for 2020, you need to do that. So when you're pricing a job on the customer partner site, you're going to type W30. Then you're going to modify that W30. You're going to tell me I need 33 inches, I need 32 inches, whatever I need. It comes with flush finished ends if it's going to be an apparent finished end. And you're going to tell me how high you want that, how wide you want that. So there's no charges for that. So if this cabinet weren't going to be 30 inches high or 30.5 inches high, you don't have to do any kind of charged add-on. You would just go into the general tab and you could change the height of that cabinet, to whatever that thing is going to be. If you're going to change the depth, there's an upcharge to change the depth, and in that case, you would change the depth. The width, there's no change in the cost of the width. So if you said it's a 31-inch cabinet, that can be done in this general tab. If you had to change the depth of that cabinet, that's a change of depth is a modification that's going to be charged. So you would go to box dimensions, increase depth, and you'd see the charges in there for the increased depth. Same with rollouts, same with anything that's an accessory. You're going to go into that cabinet. And in this case, here's a BC. We're going to go in, we're going to go into attributes. I want to add rollouts into a base cabinet. I'm going to go to add-ons. This cabinet doesn't currently have any rollouts in it. That's an internal accessory. It's a base accessory. There it is. It's a rollout. It's a double door cabinet, so it's an ROD in our nomenclature. And darn it, you know what? I really would love a deep rollout in there. So I'm going to ask for a 6.5 inch deep rollout. And I want, you know what? I want 2 of those in there. And that's how I get an accessory in a cabinet. It's easy. When we published this last catalog update, we included the option for you to upload commonly paired items, or in what we call an idea center file from CWP. So 2020 has built into it the idea center where you could click away, you could add, create cabinets, create islands, create any kind of configuration and save that into your idea center if it's something you use all the time. So what we did on our end, and it's the first time we're doing it, I'd love your feedback on this. We could add more idea center items as time goes by if you ask me for them. Josh and I will make more shapes and we'll add them in here. But so I have uploaded, and if you log into our partner site, when you go to grab the 2020 folder update, you'll see the idea center file. You could upload that to your desktop, save it to your desktop, and you can save it. And if you need me to, I'll do it on this call right now. You'd save it on 2020. You don't save it the same way you upload our catalog. There's a different way of doing it. So if you're interested, I can show you how to do that. And we could talk about that. But here it is. So here's this idea center file that I've created. And in it are just things you use all the time that you would probably require multiple clicks to create that cabinet. So here's that farm sink cabinet. It's done. So I made it for a 36-inch cabinet. You could modify it to a 30. You can make it smaller, but what's nice about that cabinet that's already done for you, attributes. I even put a nice faucet, bridge faucet, because sometimes the faucet that comes out of the sink just doesn't look right. But there's multiple attachments on here that you didn't have to create. It was done for you. It just saves you time. I only did a 36 because it was the first time we were creating this. But if you said, hey, you know what, I'd like to have a 30 and a 36, whatever you're using the most. Here's a 36-inch base cabinet. It's a 3-drawer base. And I want you to look at all the different attachments I put into this 30-inch base. So we do that 30-inch base. And how many times do we sell this big 3-drawer base? And I'm just going to say either I get too lazy, I'm just too busy, I put the 3-drawer base in, and then when it actually gets delivered, there's nothing inside these drawers. They're big 30-inch drawers with nothing in them. And whatever pots, pans, the things are all just sloshing around inside that drawer. You see that a lot on job sites. So I created an idea center file that has the pegboards, the pegs, silverware dividers. You know, it has some non-flip sections. Now you could take these off if you want, but they're built in there. So it's just an easy way to, I reconfigured a cabinet that's kind of good to go and has all those accessories that you wanted to look for. But in order to find them in add-ons, it would have taken you a bunch of clicks to get to all that. I've just created a shortcut for you to do that. You could have created this cabinet on your own and saved it to Idea Center, but we've done it for you. And then, by the way, if you wanted to change this to a 30-inch cabinet, all I would need to do is go to a 3-drawer base. I'm going to switch out of Idea Center for a second. And let's say it's a 30. All I have to do is highlight this cabinet. It could have been in my floor plan somewhere, didn't matter. And if I right click on this 30-inch cabinet, I can replace that 36 with a 30-inch cabinet, but all of the accessories stayed in there. And you can do, this is, by the way, that functionality is not specific to CWP. If you weren't aware that you can build a cabinet, I could take this 30-inch cabinet and I could replace it at any time by right-clicking the other cabinet size to modify that cabinet. So this is how you're going to start with a refrigerator enclosure. I would say I don't know if I'd even have the refrigerator in here right now. So let's just drag that out of the way, although it really doesn't matter, but let's just move that for now. So the way we do a refrigerator enclosure, we're going to have 1.5-inch rails on either side of that are built into that enclosure. So at CWP, we'll actually ship you an enclosed refrigerator. But in order to do that, I have to oversize this cabinet by 1.5 inches on either side so that my interior space is going to be, in this case, let's call it 36, right? So here's how we're going to do a refrigerator enclosure. I'm going to take this cabinet out for a second. Let's just start over. So for a 36-inch opening, if I want to enclose a 36-inch refrigerator, I need a 39-inch space. So I'm going to grab a 39-inch cabinet. And then here I go. Right-click attributes. Good Lord, I've forgotten a couple of things. We are placing in this design, I'm in a basic design. So in this design, I'm placing to 84. I'm going to allow 72 inches of space above that refrigerator, or I'm going to allow 72 inches. So that means that that cabinet for this design is going to be 12 inches high. Search as you might for a 12-inch high cabinet in our product catalog, it doesn't exist. And if you look at our spec book, our cabinets start at 30. So you're just going to take that cabinet and you're going to reduce it to 12. Now, that cabinet's got to be deeper than 12. I can't change it here. I probably could, but it's not going to price correctly. So I have to go up into box dimensions to increase the depth. And I'm going to increase it to, in this case, let's just make it 25.5 inches deep. And I'm going to write in here 25.5. And this is the correct order of operation that I would like to see this done. So now I have my box. And now what I want to do is I want to attach to that cabinet in this case, it's a wall external item, and maybe that's a mislocation. It is technically on the outside, but this is going to be a refrigerator enclosure. So I'm going to use refrigerator legs. I don't want a shallow leg. I want a deep leg, and I need it up to 96. In this case, it's only 84, but that's okay. I'm going to want one on the left and one on the right. So I'm putting the left in, and it's asking me how. And now for 2020 reasoning, it's going to build the leg from the bottom of the wall cabinet down. So I already said that it's at 72 in space. So I'm not putting 84 in here, I'm putting 72. I'm gonna keep the width 1.5 inches. I'm gonna say, okay. And you're gonna see, oh, it's rendered on one side, but I gotta do the other side. So I'm gonna click on the other side. $84. Sorry, 72. Okay. And there it is. And now, God forbid this would work. Yep, my refrigerator slides right into that opening. If somebody put a stopwatch on that, how long did that little exercise take?
4 minutes.
More than, all right, more than, that was 5 minutes of my life putting that in there. So that's how it's done, the answer to, but I also created an idea center file for that scenario. And we could do more of those because there's so many different scenarios. But I did create an idea center file of a refrigerator enclosure. In this case, here's one placed to 90, which I think is very common. So there's a refrigerator enclosure with, so that took 5 minutes for me to build. This took less than 5 seconds to drag onto a floor plan. And it's all done with the refrigerator underneath it. Now, this one was built a little bit differently because we were placing to 90 in this scenario. But if you're using that idea center file, I just saved you five minutes of your life back again, right? And we could create more of these, and you could modify this idea center file if you were placing to another dimension. I'm just sticking a wall. So if I just put a base, I'm going to put an idea center in here. Oh, this will be fun. If I just, it's not going to matter here. I'll just put this base 15 with a trash. Typically, when you put your first cabinet in, it's going to pop up to create a styling section or the styling of it. So this was a question. How do you know door styles? And I think if I understand that question correctly, this is where you would do it. This dialog box is the dialog box that pops up. You just start at the top and you work your way down. If it's going to be inset, if it's going to be paint, a frame door, I don't know, it's craftsman. I want 5-piece drawers. It's going to be bright white, no glaze, no special effects, standard hinge. You know, we'll just go standard. The door edge profile, I just said it's inset. So in this case, you could have picked another edge profile, but in this case, we'll just call it, you know, square. Drawer edge is square. We could either do, and again, this is inset, so it would be an English dovetail for the drawer box. Interior is always standard as our UV maple plywood interior. I want the outside profiled edge to be, everybody knows, corner cove is my favorite. And if there had been any opened, if there's any bookshelves or anything, we could ask for that profile to be a specific profile. And then I submit. And that all populates, and that would print. So I think I've answered the question on how we get there with creating the styling section in 2020. Kind of it forces you to create that on Island. Because people are, the way we would build this island, and so if you're looking at this island right here, this thing is shipping to you all done with the back panel installed. You know, we're not shipping you like a 4x8 sheet of material with outside corner molding that you got to figure out on site. We're shipping this thing to you ready to go. How do we do that in 2020? That's another question. So let's go to this elevation here. and I think I might even had it on this microwave cabinet. We're going to apply a back panel to one of these cabinets on the order, on the elevation, and then we're going to oversize it. That's how that's going to be done. Let's just take a look here in attributes. Let's cancel. Maybe it's this cabinet. Maybe, yep. Let's try attributes. It really doesn't matter which cabinet, but I already know there's one in here. And that's what it looks like on that already. It's already built in. And basically how that's achieved, I'm going to take it off. You're just going to go to add-ons. You're going to go to back panel. Let's close some of this stuff up. Side and back modification. Finished end. Nope. Finished back. Yep. I just want to finish back in this case. How tall do I need it? Well, I need it to go up to 36. If for some reason there it needed to be 42, whatever, you just pick the appropriate one. Now it's asking me how wide do I need it? Well, the cabinet's 30 inches, but the entire back of that island is 78 inches. And I don't want it centered. I want it placed to the left or the right. And if you've been on any of these calls, I never get it right, but I think I'm going to go right this time and see what happens. I'm going to say okay. And once again, probably for every call, I've missed it. So I've got it going the wrong way. I could take it off and start over, but I think if I click on the back panel itself and I go to variables, I might get lucky and it tells me in this placement zone that you've got it going to the right, but I really want to go into the left. So it's pricing that panel, it's priced by the inch. So it's pricing that whole back panel and it's applying it all the way across. If that had been a panel, then any kind of different back panel, same theory. So before you go in and place it, just figure out how many inches you need it, and then you're applying it to a single cabinet, and it's running all the way across. And there it is. You know, it's applying on the floor plan correctly. I'm going to add on. I'm just going to use one scenario where it is, let's just pretend it's 36 inches, all right, for now. Other scenarios, others would be another scenario. So if I want a side or back, I want to do a side modification. In this case, I'm going to do a side modification. And I'm going to extend this face frame back. 12 inches, which I think is the limit in our product catalog. So I could do this legally as a 36. And then I can go into, so this is one scenario, Josh. It's not every scenario for sure. End panel modification. I want a paneled end. 36, 28 deep, 36 left, right, left. All right, now I'm going to click on that panel then. I'm going to go, let me click on this so you can see a little better. I'm going to go into variables. And now this is probably where I'm going to get into the weeds. Attachment depth, attachment height. Attachment depth is, I might not do it here, but let's just see what happens. Yeah, all right. If I change this attachment depth, as I'm dragging this attachment depth, it keeps moving my drawing.
It'll flip it. Yeah, it'll flip it back to. There you go.
By changing the attachment depth to about, I didn't do 36, but I did. It'll render correctly. So that scenario works. And Unfortunately, you gotta mess around with variables to get that to render
Mhm.
correctly, but I think that's how that gets done. I don't know. I think that, and then I'd put a leg on the back of that to achieve
Mhm.
like the way that would actually go.